Okay, so today we're going to dive into a really, really dark case and a complex one. David Parker Ray, the toy box killer.
It's a fitting name, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely chilling, right?
Yeah.
So we know he was a kidnapper for sure, torturer, serial rapist,
Right.
operating in New Mexico. What's so disturbing about this case, though, and what I really want to kind of get into today, is that he was suspected of up to 60 murders.
Oh, wow.
But they never found any bodies.
Right?
And so there was never any, like,
Yeah.
concrete evidence to definitively link him to a single homicide.
So much of what we know about these really awful crimes hinges on finding those bodies, and when they're not there, it's like, how do you
prosecute that?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So we're looking at the Wikipedia page today on David Parker Ray. That's going to be kind of our jumping off point for this really, really dark story.
Right.
So I guess, what we want to do is try to figure out who he was, what we know he did for sure, and then really get into these unanswered questions.
Okay.
So he was born on November 6, 1939 in Belen, New Mexico.
So starting right off with a little bit of instability, his parents were Cecil Leland Ray, a mechanic,
Okay.
and Nettie Opal Parker. But actually, he and his younger sister lived with his mother's parents, so the grandparents for a while, on their ranch because there were some money issues.
His dad sounds like kind of a rough character, too.
Yeah, so the dad was an alcoholic, violent, would show up every once in a while, and actually exposed David to sadomasochistic pornography.
Ugh, that's just a
Pretty...
disturbing detail, when you think about his later crimes, right?
Yeah, you think about that and you think how much of that is nature versus nurture, you know?
Yeah.
And it says here that he was bullied a lot in high school because
Okay.
he was shy. And that led to him drinking and taking drugs.
Right.
So already kind of on a rough path by then.
And by the time he was a teenager, he was having these sexual fantasies that focused on rape and torture and murder.
Yeah.
He also became estranged from his sister after she found some of his drawings when he was only 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty disturbing stuff pretty early on. But here's something really interesting. It says that he told his first wife that he had actually committed his first murder.
Oh, wow.
In 1957.
What?
Yeah, kidnapping, torture, and then murdered a woman tied to a tree. Now, this was never actually verified, but still really chilling detail.
Yeah. He was honorably discharged from the U.S. Army, though.
Correct.
He worked as a general mechanic there. And then, get this, for most of his adult life, he worked as a maintenance man for the New Mexico Parks Department in Truth or Consequences. And I think that's significant because this article points out that he would go to the local bars in Truth or Consequences.
Right.
And that's where he would scope out potential victims.
So normal job, normal town.
But this really monstrous secret life.
Yeah, talk about a double life. And you know what goes hand in hand with the double life is the infamous toy box.
Yeah, that's
the name itself.
Really disturbing, right?
Yeah, so innocent sounding. But it was actually a soundproofed semi-trailer that he had customized for torture.
Wow, so like a mobile torture chamber.
Yeah, exactly. They found sex toys in there, but also all sorts of other awful stuff. Whips, chains, pulleys, straps, clamps, leg spreader bars, surgical blades.
The surgical blades, that's like next level.
Yeah, it is like a whole other level of planning and wanting to inflict a very particular type of pain.
Yeah.
They also found electric shock machines and saws in there.
Oh, my God.
And to power it all, he even had a homemade electrical generator just for the shocks.
Jeez, he thought of everything.
Yeah, really invested. He spent an estimated $100,000 on this trailer.
Wow.
That's a lot of money to put into something so awful. He even built all these contraptions for keeping people trapped. A fur-lined coffin.
A coffin?
Yeah, a makeshift pillory, all these locks and pulleys.
So he's really thinking about every aspect of this.
Yeah, keeping people in, keeping them under his control. But it wasn't just about the physical torture, it was psychological, too.
Right.
Like, get this, he mounted a mirror above an obstetric table.
Oh, my God.
So that his victims would have to watch themselves being raped and tortured.
That's so messed up. Oh, my God.
I know, right? And then there were the wooden contraptions, and those were for, well, I don't even want to say it out loud. It's so awful.
Yeah, I think our listeners can imagine what he might have done with those.
Yeah. And then when his victims started to wake up from being drugged, he'd play these audio tape recordings for them.
Oh, really? What was on the tapes?
Basically, it was him talking and explaining what he had done to them while they were unconscious.
What?
Yeah, he'd talk about using barbiturates, sodium pentothal, phenobarbital,
Right.
all these drugs that are supposed to make you forget.
Oh, my God.
He'd boast about how he had messed with their minds, brainwashed them.
That's like some next level manipulation, right?
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely chilling. Like, he wanted to erase their memories. Like, what happened to them didn't even matter.
And make it so that they couldn't testify against him, I guess, too.
Exactly. Yeah, covering his tracks in every way possible. And unfortunately, this wasn't just a one-time thing. It seemed like he had a whole system in place for his crimes.
Okay.
He was kidnapping like 4 or 5 women every year.
Oh, my God.
And he'd keep them for 2 to 3 months at a time.
And doing all of this to them, like just over and over. We know that he wasn't working alone.
Right. His daughter, Glenda Jean Ray, was involved, and his girlfriend, Cindy Hendy.
Right.
They were both accomplices in all of this. And there are even allegations that he invited friends and...
Oh, my gosh.
I can't even believe I'm saying this.
Yeah.
His dog to rape his victims, too.
Oh, my God.
Before he let them go. And he did eventually let some of them go. He drugged them with barbiturates again.
They couldn't remember anything.
Right, yeah. So they'd have no idea how to get back or even who he was. And it worked for a long time. And he bragged about all of this on those tapes, too.
He just seemed so proud of what he was doing.
Yeah, it's really disturbing. But here's the thing that really gets me about this whole case. The missing people.
Yeah. Like, how many victims are we actually talking about here?
Right. They think there could be as many as 60 victims.
60 people.
I know, it's a horrifying number. But here's the biggest problem. They've never found a single body.
It's like they just vanished.
Exactly. It's the biggest mystery of this whole case. He kept a diary, but it only talked about the torture, never where the bodies went.
So frustrating for investigators, right?
Oh, absolutely. But Cindy Hendy, his girlfriend, she claimed that he would dismember the bodies of anyone who died and either bury them or dump them in Elephant Butte Lake.
Okay, so maybe they're at the bottom of this lake.
Possibly, yeah, or in some of the ravines around there. After he was arrested, Ray actually said he'd show the police where the bodies were.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then he died before he could do it.
Oh, my God, of course.
I know, right? And unfortunately, Henley couldn't lead them to the bodies either.
Oh, that's such a shame. So many families never got any answers.
I know, it's heartbreaking. But in 2011, the FBI did release hundreds of photos of things they'd found.
What kind of things?
Like jewelry, clothing, that kind of thing, hoping that maybe someone would recognize something and they could connect it to a missing person.
That's a long shot, but I guess it's worth a try.
Yeah, it's really all they had at that point. And there are a few cases that stand out where they think they might have been his victims.
Like who?
Well, there's Billy Ray Bowers, who disappeared from Phoenix, Arizona back in 1988.
Okay.
They found a body in Elephant Butte Lake in 89, but it wasn't until 99 that they figured out it was him.
Oh, wow.
He had been shot in the head, and Hendy had actually told the police that Ray had admitted to killing Bowers.
Oh, so there's a direct connection.
Yeah, and they actually knew each other. Ray had worked for Bowers before, and they didn't get along.
Interesting.
And then there's Jill Suzanne Troya, last seen in Albuquerque in 95 after an argument with Ray's daughter. No one ever saw her again. And Ray actually wrote descriptions of an Asian woman who sounds a lot like her.
So frustrating. So many clues, but nothing concrete.
I know, right? And there's another woman, they just call her Connie.
Oh.
Yeah, she's mentioned in a letter they found and in Ray's journal.
What does it say about her?
That she was 18, white, long blonde hair, a birthmark on her chest. Supposedly abducted and murdered in December of 95.
Do they know who wrote the letter?
They tried to find the author, a guy named Mark, but no luck.
And they haven't been able to identify Connie either.
Nope, it's like she just vanished.
This is so sad.
Yeah, it is. There's another case, Sylvia Marie Parker. She was homeless, lived around Elephant Butte Lake, and she actually knew Ray's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she disappeared in 97. Now, this one's interesting because Ray's accomplice, Dennis Yancey, admitted to killing her.
Ow.
Yeah, said he abducted her, tortured her, and then strangled her on Ray's orders.
Wow, so a confirmed kill, but not by Ray directly.
Right. And Yancey actually took the police to where he'd buried her, but the body was gone.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they think Ray must have moved it later.
Jeez, he was always one step ahead.
It seems that way. And then there are the unidentified remains they found in Elephant Butte Lake.
Oh, right.
In 99, they found a bag with body parts in it, but no organs or bones.
That's creepy.
Yeah, and it fits with what Hendy said about him dismembering bodies. And then in 2011, they found some bone fragments from a leg.
In the lake.
Yeah, DNA showed it was a woman, but they never figured out who she was.
So many unanswered questions.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. But, eventually, Ray's reign of terror did come to an end.
How did that happen?
In 1999, one of his victims, Cynthia Vigil, managed to escape.
Wow, how did she do that?
She'd been held in the toy box for 3 days.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Somehow she got her chains off and then stabbed Cindy Hendy with an ice pick to get away.
That's incredible.
I know, right? She's so brave. She ran for help, and that's how the police finally caught up with Ray.
It's amazing she survived that.
Yeah, it's a miracle. And another woman, Angelica Montano, came forward, too, with a similar story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but at first, the officer she talked to didn't believe her.
It's so hard for victims to be believed sometimes.
It really is. But thankfully, they kept investigating, and they found a videotape from 1996 with another woman on it.
Oh, wow.
They identified her as Kelly Garrett, and she was still alive. They found her in Colorado.
So 3 known survivors.
Yeah, at least 3 that we know of. Garrett told the police that she'd been drugged and taken to Ray's place, tortured for 2 days, and then he just dropped her back at home with a fake story.
Wow. I can't believe she never reported it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It shows just how terrified she must have been of him.
Yeah. It's hard to even imagine what she went through.
Yeah. So after Vigil escaped, the FBI got involved in a big way. They sent 100 agents to search Ray's property.
100. That's a huge operation.
Yeah, it was. But they still didn't find any bodies.
Ugh, that's so frustrating.
I know. It's like he was really good at hiding his crimes. And when they talked to him, Ray wouldn't shut up about other kidnapping cases.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like he was fascinated by them.
That's so creepy.
It really is. And get this, it turns out the FBI had actually been to Ray's house before, back in 1989.
Why?
He was selling bondage devices.
Really? So they knew about him back then?
Yeah, but they didn't suspect anything more sinister at the time.
That's crazy, like they had a chance to stop him, maybe.
It's definitely one of those what-ifs that haunts this case.
Okay, so what happened to Ray and his accomplices?
Well, the trials were really complicated.
Okay.
They decided to try the cases for Vigil, Montano, and Garrett separately.
Why did they do that?
It actually made it harder to prove Ray's guilt.
Oh,
because they couldn't show a pattern of behavior as easily.
But remember all that evidence they took from the trailer?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it wasn't allowed in court.
I know, it's crazy, right? Like the tapes where Ray talks about everything.
Wow, really?
Yeah, the judge said they couldn't use them in the Garrett and Montano cases.
Ugh, that's so frustrating.
It really is. The first trial for the crimes against Garrett actually ended in a mistrial.
Why?
Some of the jurors didn't believe her.
Really? After all that?
I know it's hard to believe, right? But they did eventually convict him in the retrial.
Good.
Yeah. In 2001, Ray took a plea deal for the Vigil case.
Okay, so what did he get?
224 years in prison.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was in exchange for his daughter getting a lighter sentence.
Oh, I see.
All the surviving victims agreed to the deal.
They probably just wanted it to be over.
I'm sure, yeah. So Ray's daughter, Glenda Jean, got 30 months in prison and probation.
Okay, and what about Dennis Yancey?
He pleaded guilty to murdering Sylvia Marie Parfum.
Right, that was the one he confessed to.
Yeah, he got 30 years.
Wow.
But he got out on parole in 2010. Then he violated parole and went back to prison.
What?
Yeah, crazy, right? He got out again in 2021.
So he's out there somewhere right now.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think about. But what's really strange is that even though Yancey admitted to killing Parker on Ray's orders, they never charged Ray or his daughter with her murder.
Why not?
Not enough evidence.
Even with the confession.
I know, it's strange, right? But they never found her body, so they couldn't directly connect them to the crime.
It all comes back to the missing bodies.
Yeah, it's a recurring theme in this whole case. And Cindy Hendy, the girlfriend.
Yeah, what happened to her?
She got 36 years in prison back in 2000,
Okay.
but she was released on parole in 2019.
Wow, so most of the people involved are actually out now.
It's kind of unsettling, isn't it?
It is. What about Ray? Did he die in prison?
Yeah, he had a heart attack in 2002.
Oh, wow.
Just before he was supposed to be questioned by the police again.
So we'll never know where the bodies are.
It's not looking good, no. But I do want to say that Cynthia Vigil, the woman who escaped...
Right. She's amazing.
She's incredible. She actually co-founded a nonprofit called Street Safe New Mexico.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it helps vulnerable people.
What an amazing way to turn such a horrible experience into something positive.
Yeah, she's really inspiring. So I guess that's the story of David Parker Ray. A truly terrifying individual.
Yeah, we've gone over a lot today. The toy box, the torture, the missing people, the trials.
And yet we still don't have all the answers.
That's what's so haunting about this case.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that we might never know what happened to all those people.
It's a chilling thought. So here's something for everyone listening to think about. If they never found any bodies and Ray is dead,
right?
What does that say about our justice system, you know? Like, can you really get justice when there's no physical proof?
That's a great question. And how about all that mind control stuff Ray was doing?
Yeah, that's so messed up.
It makes it even harder to understand the full extent of what he did and how it affected his victims.
It's like their trauma was erased.
Exactly. And that just adds another layer of complexity to this whole horrifying story.
Yeah, this is a case that will stick with you. Definitely.
All right, well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.